Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, welcome in on today's stream. This one is probably going to be much shorter. I'm going to be up front. I did not get good sleep, and I kind of want to take a nap without fucking up my sleep schedule. But that does still mean I'm probably still going to be talking for like 2.5, maybe like 3 hours, something like that. I just want to like cut off a little bit, maybe take like another hour nap. Because the flight back from the trip that I took got me a little fucked up in terms of my sleep schedule. That, and I didn't even get good sleep when I, let's move over to Bloodfish Bay real quick. Let me just go. Oh! Wait, what? Ah! There we go. Huh. Yeah, the flight over has me a little messed up. Not because of like raw jet lag, but it's just like the boarding and flight process is just generally something that like I don't know, the moment you get back you either want to immediately pass out, or the moment you like maybe like head on Discord or something and talk with friends, you're like immediately re-energized because you've just been doing nothing for like hours now. And I got hit with the latter. I got back from my flight, I think this was Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night. And I got immediately like re-energized until like 4 a.m. when I hopped into a Discord call with some friends. So, that was lovely. I will say though, my Pokemon Sleep has been fucking loving me. Because my Pokemon Sleep, I got like, what was it? I think my lowest score that I got over my trip was a 90, which essentially means like the lowest rating of sleep that I got was like 7 hours and 50 minutes, which is like really good. So I ended up just like being like super well rested during the trip. I come back immediately. Not only do I forget to even turn on my Pokemon Sleep, I just like sleep in until like 1 in the, not actually 1 in the afternoon. I think like 11:30 a.m. EST. Which I mean is fine. But then last night I ended up staying up Oof, I ended up working on what I'm planning for this stream until like I think like 6:30, something like that. Like I spent unreasonable amount of time working on what I was working on. Let's get into that, by the way, but I'll finish up here in a moment. But yeah, my Pokemon Sleep had been really good. Plus, they had that event where if you're like duper well rested, it's like a full moon. So they were like, here's some good bonus points. There was like, it was like, what was it, 1.5, and then the day of the full moon was like double points, and then the day after double points was another 1.5, and I think I got like 96s. So I ended up getting like several million sleep power directly into my Snorlax's gullet. It was fucking amazing. But yeah. Enough about my Pokemon Sleep. Let's actually get into what I had planned for today. So, I didn't want to just do like a normal chatting stream. I wanted to make it still somewhat of like a different thing. So let me take off my headset here because my headset has a fucking short cable. I'm gonna stand up because today I will be presenting my trip. So here's the presentation. Here's the presentation. My name is Dakali. Hold on. Let me move. I also need to move the projector out of the way. I need to like. There we go. Just get it. There. Okay. Recenter the screen. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, I decided to do a high school style presentation on my trip to Missouri. Now I'm okay with talking about where I went for my trip because clearly the trip is over and I'm back home. But yeah, so for my week-long trip, a few friends of mine had invited me to join them on a trip to Missouri. My cat is outside of my door meowing at me because she hears that I am talking and wants in, but I will not let her in because she will destroy all of my socks and clothes that I have on the floor. But moving on, so I have some cool plane photos to show off, right? So the place that I'm at, fields aren't like super common, especially like variable like elevation and stuff like that. So some of the more notable things that I like took pictures of were things like massive lakes surrounded by farmland, and then also just on the left this like quarry that I took a picture of was like really interesting to me personally. It was just like one of the things that stood out the most, this massive fucking quarry that I don't know the name of. I didn't end up visiting it on my way there, but it was just I don't know, just a good sight. I was window seat during this part of the flight, so I just took a picture of it in pretty high quality. The image on the right is in lower quality simply just because I think I was mid-focus and I fucked up the image and then didn't retake it. Go me. But yeah, I thought I would be a lot more afraid on the plane ride because I do have a fear of heights. And I didn't know how I was going to react to a plane flight because the last time that I flew was like 6 years ago now, something like that. It was during like the last leg of like my high school, like during my senior year. I took a flight, and I didn't know how I was going to react to a plane flight. But I was actually pretty good with the plane. All things considered, once we took off, I was straight chilling, given the plane that I was on didn't really have like reclining seats or anything like that, so it wasn't really comfortable. But for my plane ride, I ended up downloading chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I was reading that on the plane. I haven't gotten further than what season 1 of the anime did because I'm like restarting the manga just to see if I like if the anime skips over anything, or also just to catch up on details that I'm a little foggy on. But yeah, that's what I did during the plane ride. And then next up, once we landed, in St. Louis was our landing spot. Once we landed in St. Louis, I ended up going to a restaurant immediately. This was during like nighttime, so technically this image is wrong. It's not taken by me, but this is accurate to the image is the restaurant that we went to. It is called the Small Batch Whiskey and Fare. It was a pretty good restaurant. I didn't know they were vegan until we walked in, but I didn't mind because though I do eat meat, I'm just pretty much, a normal omnivore human. I don't actually mind vegan food that much because vegans know how to make their stuff taste pretty good if they put in a lot of effort into it. So I figured this is a full-blown restaurant. It'll probably be fine. So I went in. I guess I stayed in. And their food was actually qualitatively really good. The way that they cooked the sauce, and they're a pasta place, by the way. Like a pasta or rice, things like that. The food that I ended up getting there was really good, but it was overpriced. I mainly say this because of the portion to price ratio. I think on food itself, I spent 22 plus tax in food. But I basically got like a medium-sized bowl, like a cereal bowl sized thing of pasta. Maybe a little more. Maybe I'm underestimating it a little bit. But I ended up getting like a medium bowl of pasta. But the pasta was really good. The dish itself was called gemelli, and it was just like a spicy pasta dish. It had eggplant that was seared and cooked to like a kind of like a tender. It gave the same feeling as if you were to add chicken to the dish. It kind of had like a toughness to it that added more of like a thickness and more of like actual texture to just a pasta dish. The tomatoes were cooked into it. They weren't just like paste. It was also, they utilized tomatoes themselves, small like cherry tomatoes. That ended up being really good. But the reason why I say it's chili or spicy is because there was like chili powder in it, or chili flakes, and what was the other ingredient? I'm forgetting the name of it. But it's like 3 different ingredients that are common in Asian dishes that all made it like incredibly just like spicy. Like every time it's that one scene in part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where Okuyasu is just eating pasta and he's like crying. It's like too fucking hot for him to handle, but he can't stop just forking just absolute buckets of spaghetti into his goal. That was me. And it was like small pastaettes. It was like not tortellini, I don't think, but it was like small bits of pasta. It was good though. I think taste wise I'd actually rate it like an 8.5 out of 10, but I think in terms of the pricing being like $22 for that portion of food, I don't know, moves it down to like a 7. It was pretty good. But the drink selection there was actually really unique because they had a lot of like 4 or 5 ingredient cocktails, which doesn't immediately mean that it's good, but it's normally a lot more effort than I'm willing to personally put into my own drinks. I'm kind of like a 2 ingredient, 3 ingredient and go kind of guy. And the thing is with that is that like it's just easier to make, and it's also easier to mass produce if I enjoy the taste of it enough. So that's how I end up making like screwdrivers a lot, or Tom Collins, or what is it, Moscow mules, or any other mule variant, because it's it's like 3 ingredients primarily, and then any other ingredients that you add in is for finesse. So that's how I end up with those. But while I was there, I ended up getting a drink called the Serendipity, which is a really good name, which was essentially just hibiscus tea with pisco, which I hadn't heard of before, as well as kumquat and acai liqueurs. And that's just, it ended up being like a really tart drink. It like hurt to drink in like larger than just sips because of how like tart and reactive I would be to it. But it had a very like potent taste that was actually really good. Like taste wise, it tasted really good, but it's so like tart that you don't want to drink it fast. It's like, are black cherries technically tart? I feel like they are. But it gave me that same feeling as like if I were to just eat like a handful of black cherries, I'd probably end up spitting half of them out, like partially chewed and disgusting, because it's like so much of that, like that flavor, that tartness. But yeah, it ended up being really good. Also those windows, you can definitely just open them and walk out of them, of which I definitely forgot to do, but I definitely saw several other guests like do. So that was funny. Um, and then pretty much that ended up night one because we got there like really late. Um, the next thing we did the next day was I ended up going out for lunch with my friend's family because I had now been introduced to them and some of the extended family was also in town. So we took that opportunity to go essentially to different like restaurants, but the main one for day one, and this is just some views of like landscape that I found kind of pretty because my favorite color is green and I was finally being exposed to like rockier, hillier land with just rolling hills of trees, and it's just a nice view for me. These pictures don't do it justice. I don't have a camera good enough in order to do it justice, but honestly, like the general view was really nice. I mean, the each house had like 20 acres of land minimum. It was like several owners of houses just had like horses, cows, and bulls in their backyard. It was really pretty, really cool to see. Which is just it's. I mean, I'm like not to dox myself, but I am mostly like a city slicker of sorts. Like I'm by civilization, so like seeing so much nature and so much pasture was like really interesting to me. But the first place that we ended up going to for lunch was the Arcadia Academy. Otherwise, we called it the Abbey Kitchen. Um, a bit of information on this building, and I'm gonna have to approximate the dates because I have really bad memory and didn't quite write them down to pure perfection. But this is a building that originally was utilized, if I remember right, in the Civil War as a medical bay, as a hospital, in order to take in troops from the, I guess, Confederates. No. Anyways, troops during the Civil War. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not that much of a history buff, but I did find the history of this place kind of interesting. So it ended up being a hospital at first, as well as like a daycare. Then it ended up transferring into being an academy, or a college, or school in general, around the late 1800s. And then after it became a school for a little bit, the first rendition, I guess, of the building burnt down in around 1916, if I'm remembering correctly. Apologies if I don't. Where it then got rebuilt in pretty much the exact same image, and continued being an academy slash daycare, slash, I mean, just several things at that point, but mainly, childcare, I guess, until around 1970. And then around 1970, they ended up selling it to the current owners. And the current owners turned it into like an attraction of sorts, but mainly they do host like a lunch restaurant as well as a creamery. I have pictures of those here. Just, that's where we ended up eating lunch on the left. I ended up getting like a really good sandwich there. I didn't write down, and I don't know why I didn't write down because my memory is really fucking flawed. I can't remember what kind of sandwich that I had. But did I get the BLT? I think I got a BLT. No. What was it? Anyways, the food there qualitatively is really fucking good and cheap. So in comparison to like the previous day's food, which was like good but was very expensive, like $22 for the full thing, I went to this place. It was like $10 for the food, which was on the same level. I really like sandwiches, so I have a little bit of a bias there, I guess. But I really liked the food there. It was only like $10. I ended up getting free refills on lemonades in the middle of a hot summer day, because, early September, late August. And getting like infinite like lemonade refills. I ended up drinking like 3 whole things of lemonade, and I was so like satisfied. It was such a good place to eat at. But then on the right, I have an image that they had a creamery inside of the building. And it's all homemade ice cream. You can see the ice cream machine there where they kind of process it. But it's all homemade ice cream. And I ended up getting a mint chocolate shake, which is basic, right? I mean, it's like, it's not quite getting a vanilla or chocolate milkshake, kind of basic, but it's still like, I'm not really putting in a ton of effort into my selection here, right? But I really like mint chocolate shakes, just in general. And so I was like, I'll try this place's mint chocolate shake. We'll see, if the quality step up because it's all homemade and etc. is worth. My cat is like outside my door bellowing at me. Anyways, I was gonna see, if the homemade nature of it added to its quality. That's some of the best mint chocolate ice cream I've ever had in my life. Because the thing is like, here's how I rate it, right? Commercial and commonly like made mint chocolate ice cream tastes kind of like toothpaste, except a lot better. I'm gonna make that comparison because it is semi-accurate and I will agree with it. This place actually had just made really pure and good mint ice cream and then just broke chocolate chunks into it, like chocolate chips, nice milk chocolate chips. The mint ice cream was exquisite, but it was completely flavorfully separate from the chocolate, and the introduction of the chocolate then into the shake made it astonishing. It was so fucking good. Okay, but have you been to Amish, Pennsylvania and tried their pies and fudge? I haven't. That sounds amazing. I want to go there because I really like pie. I'm a pie over cake kind of guy, simply because most cakes have like icing and other forms of like whipped cream and stuff like that. I'm not for like that. I'd much prefer a pie because I really like pastry dough. Like that kind of like flakiness and texture is really good for me, so that sounds amazing. But yeah, that was pretty much the Abbey Kitchen. I wish I ended up taking my own photos of it instead of needing. These are all like I found most of these images on Google, for the presentation in general, but there are quite a few that I took myself. But this was where I went basically day 2. I met a bunch of my friend's family. This is where I was introduced to the concept that my friend's family, they're very like, the first word that's coming to my head is hickish. Like they're kind of very southern. Like my friend has like a female cousin, I'm pretty sure it's his second cousin, who is basically in charge of raising several horses, and you could tell based on the scarring of her arms. Like there was a number of like scars that were kind of just like randomly circular. They're very from Missouri, yes. Like they had a lot of like manual work and stuff like that. And I was even talking to one of his cousins that became like a trade electrical engineer. Didn't really go to college for it, but did end up working through it for a trade, and is now going like 100 feet up on certain electrical poles that are like primary ones, and are like working maintenance on those. And he's like, yeah, I'm making like a decent bit of pay. And I'm just like, okay, but you could not catch me on a 100-foot pole like that. Like, I know what they're doing. You could not do that to me. And he's just sitting here like explaining like, yeah, if the wind blows a certain way, then it just like it sways you about 6 foot left, 6 foot right. And I'm like, stop fucking explaining that to me. You're scaring me. That's awful. Why are you explaining this to me? But yeah, that's where I figured out that a lot of my friends' cousins aren't really like super techie. There's a few of them that did play games. Predominantly they played console games, not really like dive too deep on the PC side of things. But I ended up just, I don't know, meeting a bunch of Missouri folk. It was pretty cool. One of the next things that I did was I went to a really cool river. This was a river about like an hour and a half out or whatever from where I was staying. It was in like a big old fucking mountain of sorts. Nah, I guess it wasn't really like a big mountain. It was just kind of like a really long trail that was predominantly in the forest. So at one point, I could not see where the fuck we were going. At any point of time, my friend's dad could have just like steered to the left and just fucking kidnapped us. But I didn't know where we were going, but you know, they said they were taking me to a cool river that a lot of the family knew, and I was like, I'm down. So let me play the video real quick. You're not going to be able to hear the audio, but it's not that much. It's just a really nice river. We ended up going in on the, like, I guess from the current angle from the left side, where there was a lot of like more level trees and stuff like that. There ended up being like a small exposure of land where we ended up setting up a barbecue, barbecuing some hot dogs, hamburgers, setting up chips. In terms of drinks, we had a lot of Gatorade, water, but also like a bit of like Dr. Pepper, Pepsi. And that ended up being a really cool experience just to like barbecue out, go to the river. The river was like really cold. Like the numbers don't make sense to me, right? The river was like 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which doesn't sound cold, but like the purity and nice wind breeze makes the river so much colder at first for me. Like it cold shocked me because it was like mid to high 80 degrees Fahrenheit out. And so the comparative temperature difference is enough to like kind of surprise you, but it didn't feel like 70-degree water. But it was really good. Like it was really clean. Like I would dive into it and just open my eyes. They wouldn't burn. Like it was surprisingly cool. We went up the river. There was a bunch of like minnows. This is where I got to experience like the presence of horseflies a lot. I didn't actually end up getting bit by a horsefly during my entire trip. I'm really happy about that because apparently they hurt. They don't like sting or like leave like small marks. They just bite you and then leave because they're just carnivores and awful. Um but yeah, that's where I ended up like experiencing like the presence of horseflies because they kept swarming around me and my friends who were there. Um but it was cool, and we ended up taking floaties and just flowing down the river. It didn't feel like we could because of how like slow the water was moving, but once you get on a floaty, pretty much any momentum is what's carrying you, right? So this was cool. I really liked the river. And also from the river, um, there was just like a really cool cliffside. Um, honestly, the mountain area was just really cool. This is like 120 feet tall of just like random cliffside that I could visualize. And I don't even think that these like uh I don't even think that these images quite do it justice, but they were very like neat images that I did take. I ended up taking like a video, but my phone had overheated to the point where it turned off, and I just turned it back on, so the video was like really poor quality. Yeah, creeks in the actual countryside are awesome. In Pennsylvania, we went into a creek mid-fall, and it was like 50 degrees water. It's crazy. That sounds insane. But also, it's Pennsylvania, right? You're so far north to where the water is just like 50 degrees. Did you go during like the like summer, or did you go end up like kind of like fall or autumn, or not fall or autumn? That's the same thing. Like spring or autumn. But yeah, this was a cool little detour on this trip. Um, yeah. So let me explain like my living situation a bit. I ended up just staying at like one of my friend's relatives' place. And I forgot to actually take like a full like tour, more like mid-autumn. Okay, so that explains the 50 degrees. I ended up staying at my friend's house, and the reason why I put Piplup forgot is I forgot to take like a full like house tour, but that's probably for the best anyways. So I ended up just taking a video of like the basement where I was sitting. So this is a quick video on the right side of just like kind of the conditions. There's like my luggage and stuff that I was carrying. That's the bed that I was staying in. Behind my bed was a church pew. For reasons that I cannot really explain very easily. Well, I can, but it's a separate tangent. And then I ended up going here into like they have like a little kitchenette in the basement that I didn't end up turning on the lights. I don't know why I didn't end up doing that. But then they have a second fridge down here. And if you open the fridge, it's just an entire 24 case of Mountain Dew, Pepsi, Me and my friends had bought that alcohol. I'm gonna be honest. Uh, we wanted to do a little bit of drinking, but you know, keep it casual. It's essentially like drinking beers with the boys. Um, but yeah, the fact that I was sleeping on like a blow up mattress that was right next to a church pew, was just like an interesting concept to me that I kept making fun of. The reason why the church pew is there is apparently a local church had been like selling, church pews for like $10 or $15, something like that, in order to raise money for like a member of the church or like for renovations in general. And they were trying to sell the old church pews because they still had like good quality to them. Apparently, my friend's relative had like just bought one. So, I mean, the explanation is simple enough. It's just weird that it, happened. But yeah, that was cool. I didn't end up like sitting on the church pew much because it was kind of like randomly in the corner. Um, but I could not possibly forget its existence. Um, the next day, I ended up going to the Missouri Botanical Garden, which was like a free little garden that you could go by. The reason why I went to the Botanical Garden in the first place, actually, was was because there was a Japanese festival going on. It was just kind of like a general Japanese culture and food festival. They had like probably around 15 food carts of sorts, ranging anywhere from stereotypical foods to just general festival foods. There was also a number of shops that were just kind of like calligraphy teachings or like little like tokens that you could like, not like spherical tokens, but like little like knickknacks and stuff, or like pieces of paper that you could bring home in order to like bring you luck or encourage growth in a way, right? Like constantly have that exposure to you. You make like a small financial dedication to something that is much larger in your personal opinion and in your nearby future. So there was stuff like that. There was also very stereotypical things that you'd expect of a Japanese culture festival in the middle of fucking United States. So there was people selling kimonos, but they ended up just being like cheap cloth that were from anime, and you just have like straight up Tanjiro from Demon Slayer just on your back. And it was a little cringe, but there's an audience for stuff like that. It's not me. I ended up buying a koozie, like a little drink holder, from a company that originated from Okinawa, Japan. So they were actually a pretty like authentic shop. I could tell because the person that was selling me the koozie could definitely barely hold up an English conversation, but they did pretty good actually. And it just kind of has like I don't know, like two red rings, and then on the back it just says Okinawa in its proper kanji. So I found it pretty cool. I'm a little bit of a collector of koozies. I like drink holders. Except I've been using the same Young Gravy one for probably more than a year at this point. But in general, the Japanese Culture Festival was alright, but the Missouri Botanical Garden itself was a lot more interesting to me just because of its general history. It also kind of existed in like the early 1900s when it was first settled by its owner, which I didn't write down his name actually. But like there was historical exhibitions for like the owner themselves, the family that took after it, some of the like development periods for the different parts of the garden, because on the left is evidently a lot more of like a modernized like greenhouse dome than on the right side where there's more of a natural garden going on. And I didn't take too many pictures of inside of the dome, one because it felt semi disrespectful, but two because I wasn't going to like, I don't know, I wasn't going to take a picture of everything. There's like actually like 100 different botanical species in this dome, which I'm surprised they can even all live in proximity of each other because of how invasive I know certain plants can be. But I guess if they experience certain temperatures and humidity climates inside of like their territory, no matter what country they're in, maybe I guess they can live next to each other, but I'd imagine soil would not be able to do that. Um, but here's two pictures that I did take. The one on the right was just like a generally pretty scene with like a few flowers, and then the main vibrant pieces in the middle are very clearly like plastic, or kind of like maybe like, I don't know, like plastic, or kind of like, maybe like, 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 like,
glass like flowers that were made just to decorate, add vibrancy. It was just like a really pretty scene. The one on the left, though, are actually some flowers that I did find interesting called cubanolas, which are essentially just upside down flowers. I'm pretty sure these originate mainly from an African country, I think is what they were saying, but I'm not like positive on that. I might be confusing it with like a different plant. But these are mainly the two pictures that I took of the botanical garden. A lot of the other interesting points of view were also like statues in the middle of like decently like decorated fields. But the problem was that since we're in the middle of or the beginning of September at this point, we're not necessarily in a bloom period, right? Other states are entering autumn. Autumn is where the plants kind of start to like dormant or die down. So there wasn't a lot of blooming. It wasn't like, it was very pretty. I could imagine in the middle of like April or May, that would be like an incredibly beautiful experience to go to. But yeah, after we ended up going there to the botanical garden, we ended up going to a restaurant that it's not quite a restaurant. It was a bottling factory. It is called the Fitz Bottling Company. Fitz is a brand of cola and other things that are there in Missouri. And when I actually went to their bottling company, I ended up going to a different location than what was recommended of me. Or recommended to me. But I ended up enjoying it anyways. The cola there is really good. I ended up having not like a actual like dark cola. I ended up having a lot of cream soda. Because the cream soda there, according to my friend's uncle, is like really good. But the majority of the rest of his family was recommending the root beer. But I'm not a root beer kind of guy. All root beer tastes the same to me. I do not have a quality check on any of the brands. Not that I hate root beer. It's just that it is nowhere near any of my favorites. I much prefer normal colas. And above most colas is cream soda to me. So the fact that I was recommended to get cream soda, I was like, I'm down. And honestly, the cream soda there was like immaculate. It was like perfectly kind of like sweet, loosely caramely. It was nice, but it wasn't too like carbonated or too strong. It was just kind of like a nice cream soda. And it was like good. They came out in like glass mugs that were pre-chilled in a freezer to the point where they had frost on them, and they would pour the like soda into it and then give you the glasses. And then you'd hold it and it'd be like a hot like 90-degree day in the middle of St. Louis. You just like hold the mug and you're just like refreshed in its presence. It was a really nice experience. The food I ended up having there, I got like a French dip sandwich. It was strictly okay. I think I just got the wrong item. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't seem like a place that would specialize in that kind of thing. I ended up having the French dip. One of my friends ended up getting a it was called like the King Louis sandwich, or King Louis. I keep saying King Louis because of the actual King Louis, but then we're in the middle of St. Louis, right? So it's the King Louis. He said that was pretty good actually, and then I forget what like my third friend that I had gone with got. But that's not what the main attraction of this place is, even though it's like a 2-story restaurant with like unlimited cola, right? It's not the main appeal to this place, because of course when you have root beer, and you have cream soda, and you have access to other colas, what else are you gonna make? Other than the fattiest, most luxurious looking root beer floats, soda floats that you've ever seen in your life. This is an entire mug of cola topped by 4 scoops of ice cream and drizzle. What in the carb-filled hell have we made? But honestly, these look so fucking good, dude. These look so good. If I hadn't eaten like a full meal Like, I'll preface, I ate like a breakfast that day. And then I went and I had like a soda in the middle of the botanical garden. So I was already kind of like, you know, I was filled up because of like the bubbles and stuff, thermal carbonation and stuff. I go to the restaurant, I have 3 fucking sodas. I have a whole ass meal. And now they're asking me, do you want dessert? Do you want a root beer float? No, I don't want a root beer float. I'll fucking explode. I'll literally die. But don't they just look so fucking good? They look like an artisan piece. They look like someone actually like well sculpted a root beer float to be used inside of a movie to represent an actually like obese character. This looks like something that they could have brought into the backstory of Brendan Fraser's character in The Whale, and it would have just made sense, and it would have just been like Pog. But then of course the rest of the movie is a different note, right? But like, you know, it looks like some like stereotypical like diabetic's wet dream of like an item that's just like carbs and sugar and sweet. I think if I had this, I have like a bad sweet tooth, like I'll have something too sweet and it'll like trigger and kind of ache for a bit. A few slides ago when I was talking about the river, while I was at the river, I ended up having a zebra cake. That zebra cake ended up triggering my sweet tooth. So sweet things aren't like always my friend. I think this thing would have negatively it triggered my sweet tooth. But yeah, the next thing that happened after that was I ended up going to the River Shut-ins. This is the why didn't I write down the name of it? I think it's like the Concours, if I remember right. River Shut-ins. Essentially what it was like a river that was like lined and had so many like rocks in it from other like cliff falls or other like smaller like quakes and stuff like that might hit the area. It was really cool. It was just an incredibly neat experience. These are images that I ended up taking off of Google. I'm not even sure if this is the right River Shut-ins or if it's like up the river, down the river. I'm not sure what part of Missouri or what state this even is in, but these are just an example of kind of like what I would have been looking at. The reason why I didn't take my phone is because it's a river. I'm gonna go swimming. My swim trunks don't have pockets, so I couldn't bring my phone like normally. I ended up leaving my phone in the car entirely. But honestly, I think these images are pretty self-descriptive, and it was an astonishing experience. The water there was like kind of like surprisingly salt water. Like I ended up doing a bit of like rock diving, not like super high rock diving, but you know, like 10 feet tall kind of thing, like rock diving. And then when you go full body into the water, and you know, have to open your eyes in order to make sure that you're kind of like good, you don't like slam your head or leg into a rock. I ended up like my eyes burned a little bit just because of the salt water in it. And then you'd end up in these like larger clearings where it's deep enough to where you swim around, and there are groups of people chilling out on the edges. There are people that are going to like the 40-foot tall cliff face and jumping off of that like fucking idiots. And then I'm just like praying that no one like hesitates last minute and slams their like skull on a rock below and just fucking like atomizes themselves, hoping that they don't do that. That'd be great. But inside of those like deeper areas and stuff, like there's a lot of like minnows and other smaller fish. There's a lot of like algae that's kind of like on the rocks, so a lot of the rocks are like slippery. But I mean, I didn't really care about the whole like, ew, there's algae on the rock, there's this slimy feeling, because like I was gonna go home and take a shower anyways. I'm swimming in the shit. But it was really cool. I ended up getting up. There was like a little like rocky path to the side that I ended up going through. It was more shut-ins. It was just kind of like a little less impressive. The water was less deep, so there wasn't really a lot of swimming for it. It was a decent like trail to walk down though. I went back, swam a little bit. I think we were there for a total of about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It was really cool. There was a lot of kids. There was a lot of people that were familiar with the area, that like knew the best rocks and were like kind of already forming like lines in order to go like jumping in certain locations and stuff like that. And luckily those people were there, because I might have found those things anyways, but then not like, I don't know, not like pick up the exact diving location. So then I would have just like slammed my leg or like side or on like, you know, God forbid, my skull against a rock, just like die. Did you get any river brainworms from the algae? I hope not, but pending. It's been a good like 5 days since I've been there though. Signs are looking up positive for me. You know, no river brainworms so far. But yeah, that pretty much concluded that day. The next day I ended up going to the Old Village Mercantile in Caledonia. This was a really cool building. This building has existed since I think like it was like the mid 1900s, something like that. Maybe even a little older. This ended up being it's a 2-story building, right? How much shit do you think you could fit in a 2-story building? Because I feel like they maximized it. So the image on the right is kind of like a semi-dated image, but it's just to give you a reference of like the candy part of the place. It's like, look at just how much candy is on that wall. Like, it is insane. And so I took, you know, for reference, yeah, you'd for sure be a vegetable by now if you had brainworms, or you'd probably good. All right, sick. But for like more reference, this is just how filled the building is. And this image is a lot closer to like modern, right? But like, there's actually just rows, barrels, several like tens of containers, right? Like probably near 60 containers in variable size of just candy. And it's just insane. And the second story wasn't so much like edible goods and stuff like that. It was more like knickknacks or other collectibles or old items. Like there was just like leather vests that looks like they would have been like, if they were newer, they were kind of modeled after what like the late 90s had in term, or late 1900s had in terms of like vest fashion. So where you'd wear like maybe like a semi-cut long sleeve shirt with like a vest over it and like dress pants. But there was also like a ton of random things like old radios, matchbooks for like matches, collectible like cups and stuff that came from the original Garfield series of cups. It's the series of Garfield glasses that if you look on the internet, they're the ones that were labeled that like they had plutonium radiation in them, and that like if you drank too much from the cup, you just get cancer. Like of course I feel fine, right? I don't think those were the plutonium Garfield cups, but they were the same look and model and might have been like made by the same people after they solved that issue. There was also a number of quilts, probably from local grandparents. A number of books, like literal, like there was books from like that were authored by Woodrow Wilson and like his staff. Like there was a ton of just like classic old stuff, and it was really interesting to me. On the right, you can see like this lower area that's actually a creamery. So inside of this building, which already has like this metric butt ton of candy, and it also has like a little shelf area of a bunch of other stuff, sodas, jams, salsas, all homemade, soaps, and other edible kind of like secondaries, like in abundance, all homemade. And it's just what the city's like kind of known for. It's just like classic homemade stuff, pretty much family made, mostly brought to the mercantile in order to sell off. It was just a really interesting location, but there's just so much shit jam-packed into this building. But yeah, the creamery ended up having a lot of different flavors. They actually have like they have like a flavor per month, and this month's flavor was like butter apple pie, something like that. Which tasted really good. They also had did I write this one down? Please tell me I righted it. Please tell me I wrote it down. Absolutely I did not. They had a flavor there that was strawberry, pistachio, and vanilla, if I remember right. And I forget what the exact name of that flavor is, but TLDR, it's fucking delicious. I wanted to get a full milkshake of that, but I ended up settling on, they had a flavor called Cookie Monster, which was essentially like chocolate crumble cake. I ended up just going with that because that sounded a lot better in my opinion for like a full-size milkshake. So I ended up doing that, which of course my lactose intolerant ass really appreciated when I did that. The lady that was working there was a newer worker. They do like hire people from outside of the main family that owns the Mercantile. But she did amazing. She did great. But yeah, on the left, you can also see like just how many like even more jars of just fucking candy there are. It's also an entire section dedicated to various fresh fudges. Like it's, and this isn't even including like they have an area dedicated to like merchandise, right? To like shirts, sweaters, jackets, like full-sized ones for like winter season, other like hats and stuff like that. They have like a corner that's dedicated to their own merchandise. The rest of the fucking store is like candies, creamery, and fucking knickknacks, and it's like, and other collectibles for tourists, right? It's just like an insane building. This was like I was literally being recommended from like day one, like you need to go to the Mercantile in Caledonia, and I was like, I have no idea what to expect from this, but sure, I'd want to go. This is what I got. This was insane to me. But yeah. This, I also found this. I wanted to make a separate slide specifically for this. I specifically found this and laughed my ass off. I think this is literally like a rocking ball for like kids that were like, they just were like kind of physically giddy, and so they just needed something to kind of like wobble around on. But it kind of looks like Soft and Wet from part 8 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like it has like the handles on the side of its head. But it's fucking ridiculous looking. I wanted to buy it, to be honest. But now my cat is clawing at my door. I don't want you in here! Stop! No! Okay, she's walking away. She understood what I was saying. Yeah. But that was the Mercantile. That pretty much concluded. That was like the second to last day. I ended up spending the rest of the day kind of like resting, and my friends and I watched like a few things. But now let's go on to the last day. So, dawn of the final day, right? This would have been Wednesday morning. We wanted to go out. Our plane flight was at like 7 p.m. or something like that. Like around there. Just like evening. Actually, I think it was like 6. But anyways. So we wanted to do something in the morning, afternoon, make use of like the last day because some things are only available in the morning. So we end up getting up at like 10. The first thing that they want me to do, or want us to do, I guess would be the correct way to phrase it. We wanted to check out the St. Louis Arch. It is the, you know, like one of the main monuments in Missouri. It's one of the more notable landmarks. I didn't know that, one, because I don't look very much into landmarks and stuff like that. I don't travel enough for me to keep those things in mind. And two, why would I look up really tall structures? I'm afraid of heights. I don't want to go up the structures. If you're wondering just how tall the St. Louis Arch is, I tried finding an image that like would be smaller so that the video on the right would be like a true scale. There's nothing that makes this monstrosity of a fucking arch, this monstrosity of a civil engineering project, a general engineering feat. There's nothing that makes it look small. I hope you know this thing is 630 feet tall from the ground. It is 193 meters from the floor. In general, St. Louis is, I think, 300 feet above sea level, right? So if you're at the top of this, you are almost 1,000 feet above water. That was insane to me, like conceptually, but also this video won't play. Shit. Oh, it's such a good video too. I'm at like the base floor and I look up and I just can't. Anyways, yeah. This fucking thing's tall. That's an awful fucking contraption, but it is really cool. And it was constructed in 1960. I think it was 1961 to 1968. I think it finished construction in 66. And it's pretty much just like a memorial to I forget who specifically was a memorial to, but it's a memorial like monument that was built in St. Louis. And it is really cool. Like in terms of like the construction story. I mean, watching the videos of people like riding up carts and trying to build this thing was like godforsaken. But I'll admit that it's an impressive feat, especially for the mid 1900s or yeah, mid 1900s, right? Where I wouldn't expect this kind of thing to like excel. But yeah, if you're wondering how you would get to the top of the arch, I'm gonna give you the worst combinations of things for like a person of my, fear, right? So first of all, you have a really small pod. This is about 4 feet tall for the entrance. So I was banging my head on the entrance. Also, I just saw a fucking bug on my face. Where did you go, bastard? This is like the second bug that's been in my room. I need to get like bug traps. But yeah, so there's this pod. The entrance for the pod, that little like hole there, 4 foot tall. It has 5 seats in it. I don't even think it's recommended to seat 5 people in this thing unless you're all sticks. But there's the option. And then on the way there, you get a nice sign at the waiting line that just says to the top, just to remind you of where your goal is, right? Just to remind you that you're going to the top of a 630-foot structure. And then you get to the pods, right? Like you get to the things on the left. It turns out you don't even get to visualize them. They didn't make them in any way that seemed appealing. They put them in something that looks like a fucking cryogenic chamber in an apocalyptic game. This looks like an alternative design of what the beginning of Fallout 4 could have been. Like you and your wife just get put into like essentially a reverse like cremation pod where instead of getting burnt into ashes, you just get frozen into permanent stasis for like the next 100 years. This was an awful combinations of things to go up to. What is that? That's awful. And then the inside and the ride up was so fucking, ugh. It was so creepy to me. Because it's not like a pure ride up, right? Because there's a little bit of like horizontal movement and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of like conveyor belt. There's a little bit of like diagonal belt movement in order to then get onto the vertical like lift part. It was fucked. It was fucked up feeling. I was screaming and complaining the entire time. My friends tried recording a video, but I told them that I was like legit having a panic attack and that they shouldn't record me. I mean, it was just personal preference. I probably would be laughing at it if I saw the video now, but it was just something I didn't want to have at the time. These are the videos that I took. This is kind of just like on the left side. It's, I don't know, it was the Missouri River. Cool. There was like a little bit of like, I think that's like a plastic processing plant here. I mean, this view was really nice just because you get to see like a lot of like the woodland kind of area. Like even at the beginning here, you can see there's like a bit of like forestry here, as well as like there's a decent bit of view on like the highways and stuff that are kind of coming in. But otherwise, the left side was a little, like, bland-ish. I like this bridge view as well. This is a cool little bridge view. The view on the right, though, on the right side of, like, where you got off the pod, was not that video, and I'm not sure why it started playing again, was just St. Louis. It was just the city. So it was an incredibly pretty view of all of the different, like, buildings there. Even, like, the tall fucking 40-foot or 40-story building isn't as tall as the arch, so you got to see the roof of that building. You also got to see kind of at this last leg here, you could see the there's like a baseball field here. This is a really cool perspective of a baseball field. I could imagine actually getting like a tour of this like towards the end of a baseball match just to see it from this angle if you had like a binocular like kind of setup. I think that sounds really fucking cool. But also, like, this building here, I actually have a better image of it on the next slide. This was, like, the general view on the left that I took with my phone. But that courthouse, like, literally labeled the old courthouse, I'm pretty sure that building was constructed with, like, St. Louis. Like, the original, like, city when it was founded during the Louisiana Purchase. I'm pretty sure that that building is as old as, like, the 1800s. Like, that is... well, if it was... truly that old, it'd be the 1700s, but I'm pretty sure it was constructed during the 1800s. Like, that courthouse is, like, way older than sliced bread. But that is, like, a really, like, it was, like, a really cool, like, scene, right? And I have glasses, so I'm not, like, even with the glasses on, I'm not seeing any of this in pure HD. I would actually argue that the image on the left has certain things in better resolution than what I could see them at, but in general, the view was like stellar. But I was uncomfortable the entire time up there. Like I'm a person that's afraid of heights, brought to 930 feet in the air. I'm not happy. After this though, I mean, we ended up going down to pretty much as easy as we went up. We went to a Raising Cane's. There's not a Raising Cane's in my area, so we decided to like check that out. It's pretty good. It's like about as good as an area that's in, or as a restaurant that's in our area. The Raising Cane sauce is really good because it's kind of like a less intrusive Thousand Island type dressing that is very subtle, and so the flavor of the chicken is like a lot more, I don't know, impactful, I guess, on the total taste of the bite. The fries there were all right. The Texas style toast that they had was actually really good. Actually, it's probably one of the better Texas toasts that I've had in a bit. I could imagine getting like a few pieces of the toast and making like a sandwich. I think that's what my friend was planning on doing, but I think that's because he was getting like this. He was planning on getting the same order as a YouTuber named Wubby, who apparently has like his own custom order. But that guy's custom order was like 6 slices of bread. It was like half a loaf. So he was like, I'm passing on this. But yeah, after this whole like trip in general though, the last thing we did in St. Louis before boarding our flight was we went to the zoo. And because it's a zoo, and a majority of the experience of going to the zoo is going to the zoo and seeing the animals yourself and seeing a lot of the like informational like, hold on. Try to scare the shit out of my cat subtly. Because the majority of the experience is actually going to the zoo, seeing the animals, seeing the exhibits, and a lot of the information that they have on the creatures there, I'm just going to speedrun this kind of section. So, on the left is a rhino. On the right is an elephant. I also have a video of the elephant, but I didn't want to fit it in because I just kind of wanted to speedrun this section. This is a video of 2 manatees, just kind of like, or not manatees, hippopotamuses, that just kind of like swam by us on the way to the exhibit. I found this kind of like a neat little video to take. Honestly, the hippo exhibit was really cool, but a majority of the time, because of like how hot it was during the day, the majority of the hippos themselves were just inside of the water, relaxing, absolutely in their in their lane, nourished. They had a lot of like, as you can see on the screen, they had a lot of fish that just kind of lived in like in tandem with them. Apparently, they're just like, they have like a symbiotic relationship to where a lot of the waste that the hippopotamuses produce is actually just eaten by the fish, which is kind of gross, but at the same time, nature's nature. That's just how it be. Here's some tortoises. I love these little guys. These guys are great. Is this a video? It is a video. Yeah. These guys just sitting around eating lettuce. I love them. They're fucking massive though. I'm pretty sure they're like 4 feet like long and like 2.5 feet tall. And they're like massive. I could probably like fetal position and fit inside of their shell. It was lit. They weren't super interactive and their area was very like muddy and kind of like grayish. It was like a little depressing. Some of the holding locations are a little depressing, but I also just think I don't like the idea of a zoo too much. Like, yes, there is like a purpose in a zoo for demonstrative and like kind of like that show and tell purpose. But like, I feel like whenever I go to a zoo, I just get sad because the animal is like in an enclosure, you know? And that's like a very like, I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's just an opinion on zoos, right? But like, I went there and like, you could tell that the animals aren't provided like a ton of shelter under certain circumstances. So then if it's hot, they're just in like a hole, like a hole of some sort, like just trying not to like die of heat stroke. And then like, because that area is normally outside of peering eyes, that way the animals have privacy to sleep. You just like don't see, like, I wanted to see a capybara while I was there, and they didn't have, the capybara was probably sleeping. I wanted to see a cheetah while I was there. The cheetah was probably unresting. And so it's just kind of like, It's like you go there and you just kind of get a little sad. I don't know. All right, anyways, on to the stuff that you guys probably didn't want to see. Here's a collection of tarantulas that I just kind of saw. I'm going to quickly scroll by this. Anyways, here's penguins in order to wash out your eyes. These are pretty cool. I mean, there was like a, what is it? Penguins, and I think they're called like truffles. Or something along that line. Kind of like, not synonymous, but like adjacent to that word. Puffle, I think. Anyways, yeah. They had like an open thing. The indoors thing that kind of viewed like a lot of other like kind of polar animals, I guess, or like Antarctic animals, wasn't really operating. Like that kind of like Arctic Sea World type thing wasn't really in working. So they just kind of had like the penguins out front just to like chill. And then while I was there, these are some like gar that were in a nearby sea area. These are, I think, like large-headed bass or something like that. Not bass, but like tuna. Puffin is what I was looking for. Thank you. But yeah, these fish were cool. They had their own little tank, but it was literally just these two kinds of fish, and it was like a smaller tank. So I was just like, okay. I took a neat little video and then like moved on with my life. But yeah, that was it. I mean, after that, I ended up boarding my flight. We ended up getting there like a few hours early, and so I ended up just sitting around. I've been working on my Pokemon Scarlet Violet save that I have from like when the game came out. I'm trying to still beat like the post game, but I put myself up to the most like absurd challenge for the post game, to where I wanted like a perfectly like type diverse team with good moves against things that counter its type. Like, I'm making essentially a professional team, but not actually, because I have no idea how professional Pokemon works. Against gym leaders that could probably be like 1v6'd by your starter. And I'm leveling all of them to 100. I'm like well investing into like TMs and stuff like that. But like my current step is literally just leveling them. Like literally I just want to level them all up to 100. And I think I only have like 3 Pokemon left that are like in their mid 70. So I'm getting close. I ended up trying to make a sandwich while I was at the airport. That was for, it was like Chansey farming. So it was like normal experience and normal like appearance rate was up, but I ended up fucking up the sandwich. So, yep. But that was pretty much all for my trip to Missouri. After this, I took the plane back. Now, I'm going to enter free talk time, but first, I'm going to go to the restroom, and I'm also going to go scold my cat a little bit. So, be right back and enjoy the music. Okay, I'm back. Bro makes it sound like his cat has committed a cardinal sin and must be punished to be a martyr. No, but so Gwen, the mama bird that I love talking about her. She's a sweetheart, but she's currently in heat again, even though she already has her kittens. And she's just like bugging everyone. It's just one of those moments. And I just got back from a trip, you know, like I want to connect to stream. I want to have me time, but then like outside, even when I'm playing games with friends, it'll just be my cat going like, and I'm just like, oh. This music is super funny. Thinking about you boxing your cat in the background, it's lit. Yeah, I had to body slam her a few times. It's fine. She'll get up. I did not, by the way. That was purely comedic. I do not encourage you to do that with your cats or any smaller animal by any means, unless it's a goose. Fuck that goose up. That thing will kill you if you let it. All right, but yeah, free talk time. And I'm gonna have these gifs on screen because they're funny gifs that I like. My trip was really fun, all in all. One thing that I didn't discuss because I wanted to get a lot of, like, from the top of the box. One thing I didn't discuss because I wanted to get to a lot of, like, the main points of my trip to Missouri is kind of what I was doing in the background. So, my friends both work, like, remote jobs. Because they're my friends from college and they got like computer science degrees, right? So they got the cool programming jobs that they could do from the fucking bathroom if they wanted to. Just set up a laptop in the bathtub and just get like a 2-hour soak in while you're programming. Fucking nerds. So while they were working, I would kind of catch up on sleep for the most part. But also I would every now and again just like scroll through my phone, sort out photos, and send them to myself on an application. That way I could access them on my computer. I spent a lot of time just kind of like, I guess just looking at YouTube. I'm not even gonna lie about it. I would try to say that I targeted a specific kind of content, but like, I don't know, maybe like League videos. It's not like I caught up on professional though. I didn't do that until last night. I ended up reading a lot of manga. I caught up on the latest chapter of Unordinary. That's fucking... Things are going places with that fucking manhwa. It's fucking lit. Or I guess just webtoon. I'm not sure if the writer's Korean or not. Let me do something. Let me just shorten this GIF and drag you guys back out. There we go. There you guys go. And there. I don't know if I just fucking doxed anything by alt tabbing. It's fine. Yeah, for the most part, I didn't really play any games. The only game that I ended up playing while I was there was that my friend's relative that we were staying with owns an Xbox 360 and owned a small collection of games. I shit you not, 6 of the games are different Call of Duty games. 3 of them are Battlefield games, and 1 of them was the game by id Software called Rage. So like Bethesda, not Bethesda. No, I think it is Bethesda id Software. I think that is how that works. But yeah, called Rage, like the original one. And you know what the flashbang was with Rage? Because I did end up playing that for like a short session. The flashbang with Rage was that I opened up the box and it said pre-order Skyrim coming out like November 11th, 2011, which means that that game is like super hyper dated. Bethesda is the parent company to id. Okay. Yeah, even back then. So yeah, Rage was super giga ultra like old. My friend wanted me to play Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies with him, but I'm not very good at it. I did end up joining him. I forget what the map is called from Black Ops 1. Something Del Toro? Yeah. It's one of the like classic maps. But I wasn't very like, I mean, I wasn't good at it, but I was getting better, right? So like like my first round, I think I survived until like round 5, and then like 6, 7, 7. Like, damn, round 7's kind of hard. It's like, okay, well, we're learning to like train and get to new areas under certain timings with a certain amount of money. You know, you're learning. And so that was a that was like a learning curve. I mean, Black Ops Zombies is one of the best. Yeah, I mean, it's what the what is it? I'm trying to remember what the name of the map is. But Black Ops Zombies is one of the most notable parts of Call of Duty as a whole, and it's like weird to me. Zombies custom map stream go hard. Is that, are we like, I guess I'd legally be allowed to stream that. But like, actually I might not be. I don't know how much they, because when you stream a game, you're like representing the game, right? And I'm not sure if like a modded map goes. But honestly, if I were to just get all of the Black Ops, I'd be willing to do like separate streams for each of them. But I think I only own Black Ops 1. Which, I mean, that's fine, right? But I don't like FPS too hard. So there's that. Also, the map that I was thinking of, I ended up looking it up on my phone. It's Kino der Toten. So it's the one where the World at War boys get time traveled. But the if you're curious, the highest wave counter that I got to was 20. So I got to wave 20. There's that. The Beating Origin stream. Oh hell no. Buddy, if you want like the people beating certain Easter eggs, like, run. Don't like ever look towards me. I'm like really bad with those like kind of like challenges, especially like those are like a lot of those are multiplayer challenges, right? Like you need like up to 4 people in order to do some of them, if not all of them. So I wouldn't be able to do that, but like maybe with like 1 or 2 other people. I don't know how stingy it is. But I ended up getting up to wave 20, but I didn't end up playing too much Call of Duty in general. I think I only did like 2 sessions of that. But I didn't play like any League or WoW or anything, or I had Skyrim installed and I've been like getting slowly back into it, but I didn't really play that much on break either. A little at the airport, but not really anything notable. Oh, the other big thing that I did, I watched the One Piece live action. So the 2 friends that I ended up going to Missouri with, both of them are my friends that got me into One Piece, back like 3 years ago. So we watched the One Piece live action, 8 episodes long, 1 hour each. Fucking 9 out of 10. Like, in terms of being a translation of the anime manga, right? Just good. Just straight up just good. In terms of being its own isolated show, good, but it's still going to have the same like nonsensical nature that like One Piece is known for. So if you're not really prepared for that aspect of it, it's still going to be equally as shocking. But honestly, really fucking good. The set design, the changes that they made from the source material to the One Piece live action, which is really funny to say because IGN rated that the One Piece live action was bad because it was too close to the source material. It is not. Like, it's not far deviated. Like, all of the main points are there. It's just executed so differently. So all of the arcs that were included, right? So we have Romance Dawn, which is just, it's the name of the arc where Luffy sets out on his journey. It is 3 episodes long. In the One Piece live action, it is 1 episode long. We have, I forget the name of the island, but it's the island where they get Zoro. So there's that. That is an entire 2nd episode. Then you have Cocoa Village, where you fight Buggy the Clown. Or not Cocoa, Orange Town, where you fight Buggy the Clown. And then you go to Syrup Village, where you get Usopp. Then you go to Baradier, where you get Sanji. And then you have the Arlong Park arc, where they fight Arlong. There you go. And, like, finalize Nami as a crewmate. So, like, those are all the arcs that are covered, right? They changed so much about Syrup Village and somewhat Baradier that it feels like I'm watching the show for the first time again. Like, it is legit just so different. But all of the main points are there. All of the main, like, character developments are there. One more character dies in Syrup Village that, like, concerned me, but realistically doesn't matter as much. And there were some slight deviations in Baradier that I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this, but realistically, it's fine. But, like, the casting goes hard as shit. Everyone is portrayed so fucking accurately. Like, main characters, side characters. And then the set pieces are hyper fucking intricate, really well done. The props, really good. I saw some discourse on Twitter about 2 actors. So it was the actor for Ben Beckham, which is one of Shanks' crew members. Apparently people on the internet are like, he's too chubby. No, he's not. You have an inaccurate mental image of this member of Shanks' crew. He is just a larger man. Whether he's peck heavy or gut heavy does not matter. He is an older man who is incredibly strong and really good with swords. And they nailed that. I think his actor looks really good. Like, yes, I guess as the show progresses, if they just get another if they get, like, the same actor to, like, I don't know, go to the gym, pick up a barbell, and fucking go at it. Like, maybe it'll appease more people, right? But, like, I think he's fine. He looks really good. What was one of the other actors that I saw some, like, questions about? Like, why would they do this? Oh, there's a character that was just straight up missing. From Arlong Park, there was a character named Hachi. That if you've watched One Piece before, you realize that it's really weird that that character isn't in the show. But I think it'll be fine for the long term. Hachi might end up being replaced with another character, which might end up being weird once we get to that bridge. But they might also just still introduce Hachi. But they say he's like a former member that wasn't there during Orange Town because it would go against his like character traits, which is somewhat accurate. But anyways, I'm divulging a fuck ton. So TLDR, the One Piece live action is like a hard like 9 out of 10. Like actually just like it's good. There are some moments that might feel cringy. It's supposed to feel that cringy. You are in a pirate world, right? Like you're in a world where like random loyalties and like sword fighting and devil fruits exist. Like some things are going to be goofy. There's going to be moments where it's going to be like, Luffy, I vow my life to you and this crew because this is a certified Straw Hat pirate moment. I honestly I couldn't care too much about like some of the cringier feeling moments because they felt genuine enough, you know. But I will just say all of like the main actors, like all 5 of the Straw Hats that were recruited by the end of episode 8, perfect. They portray their character in such an accurate way. The only actor that I was concerned about going into the live action was Nami, because Emily Rudd is a little older. And I was curious on how she would portray a like fresh 18-year-old Nami. But it ended up being really well executed. Of course, makeup and CG are going to cover certain blemishes, right? But I honestly feel like she looks pretty young for her age in general. She kind of just looks like a stressed teenager, which is what Nami is. So, like, good. Like, it worked out perfectly. Sanji's I was also a smidgen concerned about, but oh my dude, he's such a good actor. He fucking nailed it so much. I would argue that live action Sanji has like absolute riz that animated Sanji just does not have. Animated Sanji feels like he's a simp, you know? Animated Sanji feels like he's like a hardcore simp and can't land like a single baddie, right? And that's like the case until Whole Cake Island in terms of like the original source, like the manga and anime. But like the live action just makes him seem flirtatious. Like it makes him seem confident and flirtatious, but not overbearing. He has good quips. He has good one-liners for ladies and enemies alike. But they're just like good. And I thought that him screaming out cooking terms while fighting was going to be cringe. But that part of the Arlong part fight was so fucking well done. He like pronounces everything flawlessly. He is pronouncing French culinary techniques with accents and everything super fucking well. And also, I want to give props to all of the live actors because they all did the majority, if not all, of their own stunts. Given there was a lot of technical props, given there's a little bit of CGI here and there, right? Of course there is. And especially in Luffy's case, his fucking ability has him with rubber abilities, right? He's like chock full of CGI. But a majority of the sequences where you'd see like a character launch up in the air, where you would see like Sanji specifically like kickbox the shit out of someone, or use another like leg-based martial arts because he learned like a few for the role. Like, those were all done by him. There's only one kick that I explicitly like can see CGI on Sanji, which is fine because it's like a ridiculous kick in general. I think the One Piece live action was really good. Another show that I watched personally, the night before my flight to Missouri, while I was over at like a friend's house because I ended up sleeping over there, and then we yada yada yada. I ended up staying up for the majority of the night until like 7 a.m., something like that. Watching the entirety of the second season of Demon Slayer. The, what is it? Red Light District arc. Really good. It was beautiful. Honestly, like, the fact that 80% of the season is just a singular combat encounter is fucking hysterical to me. Like, conceptually. But then the actual execution of it was, like, incredibly intense. And I find a lot of the imagery very, like... It's very Demon Slayer. Like, it's very, like, good. The main character still somewhat remains surface level to me. He's very much a main character that, like, the power of willpower will overcome any fucking injury. And that man is, like, literally immortal feeling sometimes. But I don't mind it too much. Especially with the way Season 2 handled it as opposed to Season 1. I feel like Season 1 of Demon Slayer felt like... If I say pilot shonen, does that make sense? Like, it makes it feel like the main character is built strong and almost indestructible, and then is immediately knocked down a peg. Like, it happened with My Hero, it happened with Jujutsu. I mean, clearly it doesn't happen with One Punch Man, because that's just how things go. But if you view it from Genos' perspective, then it is the case. One Piece, it technically happens. But yeah. Like, it felt like Season 1 of Demon Slayer felt very, like, pilot shonen. I mean, clearly Ufotable is incredibly like well like gifted in terms of the Demon Slayer animation. Like the movie's really well animated. The anime itself is really well done. I mean, episode 19 of the season 1 of the anime was so well animated and well executed in general that it became trending and is probably the reason why Demon Slayer is as large as it is today. I would actually accustom episode 19 alone to like, I don't know, maybe like 60% of the show's total popularity. Probably less than that, like 40. But like, still, like a very sizable chunk. Yeah. And in terms of where I'm at in Jujutsu Kaisen's manga, as far as I've read up to, I'm in the middle of the Goodwill Games, which is the ending sequence of season 1. So I'm about to catch up to season 1's content in the manga, and then I'm probably just going to continue from there instead of watching the anime. But then if certain sequences like interest me, like on how they were done in the anime, I might just watch it. I also think that like what the Gojo and Geto prequel isn't like in the manga, but it might be. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing for the past like week, huh? I guess one thing that I didn't mention that I kind of realized in the middle of the presentation, when I went to that first river, the one that was by the cliffside, I ended up going back home with, or not like my home, but like, you know, back to where we were staying with like 13 different bug bites. Not like different, but like in different locations, right? I think like just a bunch of like mosquitoes ended up getting to me and I just didn't fucking notice. And between like the river water and between like their natural like anesthetic that they have in their body, not anesthetic, but like whatever numbing agent or incognito agent you would say that they're you would say that like mosquitoes and stuff or different bugs have. Like I just ended up getting bit like a shit ton. But it was fun. But I ended up going home or going back to the place we were staying at. I didn't end up showering because we were planning on going to the pool again anyways. So I just kind of like stayed in my swim trunks, even though they had well dried by that point. Like I just kind of like stayed there, and then when everyone got to the pool, I was like, okay, I've decided I'll join. I then proceeded to play Marco Polo for like 3 hours. Okay, maybe not 3, but like 2. It was definitely at least 2. Those were probably some of the most intense and active games of Marco Polo I've ever played in my life, and I've realized that I've kind of just been playing the game with the wrong crowd, because I thought Marco Polo was strictly for like younger kids, and it was kind of like just a game to occupy, right? But if you like play the game legit and like put yourself in there, Marco Polo is fucking fun. And I don't know if that's just like a country boys bored kind of mentality, to where it's like you'll make anything fun as long as it's occupying your time in any way that isn't just sitting. But like, I thought it was just fun. There was like 2 people there that were shitters for different reasons. One of them was like super like agile and would like dodge you if you got close, and then he'd like poke you on like the shoulder, which doesn't like get him out, right? Because you need to touch them, not them touch you. And so like he would like poke you on the shoulder, and you'd like swing your arm around in order to try to like reach him, you know, get him out, and then it just doesn't work. And then he would just kind of like he was kind of like a dick in that way, but I mean, all in good fun. And then there was another guy who, he's like scrawnier, and so him leaving the water in a certain way doesn't really produce any noise. So he ended up like leaving the pool every now and again, and then if someone leaves the pool during a Marco Polo match, you have to say shark out the water, or like fish out of water. And then if they are out of the water, it like they're out, right? and then they are the next person to be Marco. This guy would just like always kind of get away with it, with 2 exceptions. But the rest of the people I was playing with was fun. Sharks and Minnows was really fun. Or not Sharks and Minnows. Marco Polo was really fun. And then I ended up eating... I like a enchilada. I ended up eating enchilada that night. And then I had taken a shower. And that shower was incredibly refreshing. And then I ended up going to bed for like 10 hours because I was fucking giga turbo exhausted. So... But yeah, that's pretty much it for my Missouri stories, unless I get reminded of something explicit. So, that's that. Let's get into the other part of the stream that I wanted to do. Let's talk about things that I want to do in the future. So I was thinking about what schedule I kind of want to make. And I think I want to go for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Sunday. And that's like pending. I might move it down to just 3 days a week, depending on how busy I get with other things. But I do want to do like 4 days a week. Like I want to do like, I like the idea of 4 streams a day, rather that's like 2 in one day or something like that. But based on how I stream, I don't think that that would be wise. The reason why I want to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday is just because I wanted to do Monday, Friday, but I didn't want there to be like a 3-day gap between my streams. So I ended up just shoving like Wednesday in there. The reason why I really want to do Monday, Friday is because I like the idea that if I'm kind of like a just chatting bot, not like literally only just chatting streams, but if I'm going to be like a talkative person, I want to do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe dedicated to like beating like a game or like continuing like a linear story game of some sort. This is a sad song. I'm skipping it. I wanted to do like, yeah, just like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'd kind of play like a linear story game maybe and continue that while also just kind of like being background noise for people that might be like on the way to work, that might be actively working or kind of like on break, have me in the background. And then the reason why I wanted to do Sunday, there's like a semi-personal reason, right? So I'm a college graduate. I've discussed that before. Something that I experienced a lot as a college graduate was crunch time. And I feel like something that people experience a lot in the workplace in general is also just crunch time. But it feels like for students specifically, which I'm gonna probably have a soft spot for the rest of my life. Sunday felt like such a high stress day. A lot of assignments would be due on Sunday night. If the class was on Monday, a lot of the assignments would be due on Monday night if it was assigned on if it's like a Tuesday, Thursday class. So I wanted to have a Saturday, like, kind of like morning, maybe afternoon, like stream slot that's like long. Like I was thinking like if I end up doing like a Sunday like stream day, it would be like 10:30 to like 5 p.m. or something like that. Like ridiculously long. Like that's like 7 hours long. The reason why I wanted that kind of like a length is just to make as much like background noise as like could just help occupy people's brains. But what I'd be doing on Sundays as opposed to my weekday schedule is probably playing like my grinding games. So like maybe I'd be doing dungeons or something in WoW, but probably not for the most part. Maybe I'd be grinding ranked in League. Maybe I'd be just, I don't know, playing some other long form game. Like a JRPG or something. That's what I was thinking though for Sundays would just be like my fucking, I want a fuck off long stream kind of day. Just to be background noise. Just to help occupy people. Because dude, when I was in college, one of like the like worst things was just like, luckily I ended up getting into VTubers during college because of this, right? I would end up just watching VODs in the background of my in the background of my homework sessions, which would be a little bit procrastinative every now and again. But every now and again, it's like a singing stream, right? And if it's like a singing stream, there's not something to visually take you away from things. You're just kind of like in the moment, in the zone. Maybe you're singing along. Maybe you're just cat jamming like on the left, side of my screen right now. But that's why I got like really into like VTubers and content creation in general. Like I got into like OTV and Friends again during college as well, just to watch like those videos and some of those streams. But it was because sometimes my homework in college would pile up so high on specifically like Saturdays and Sundays that I would just want like a stream in the background in order to hear, like just to hear something that isn't music. Because if it's just straight up music, I'll oftentimes, half of my brain power goes to memorizing the lyrics of the song that I'm listening to. Because I only listen to personal bangers, okay? Like, the definition of a banger is different from person to person, but when I listen to my own music, I just skip songs I'm straight up not in the mood for, alright? But I have so many different kinds of songs to where I always have something that I want to listen to. I will click shuffle and skip until something works, right? So the fact that I'm only listening to bangers means that I'm only listening to songs that I'd be willing to learn the lyrics to. And the thing is with that is that when you're trying to do homework, you're not learning lyrics at the same time. That's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. So I ended up predominantly utilizing my time in watching, I think I got really into Nino Mai Inanis from Hololive English. In my senior year, oh, this is going to be funny. In my senior year, I ended up watching a lot of Vesper Noir, Magni Desmond, Gavis Battle, a little bit of Banzuin Haka, still mainly Ina, but as well as that, a little bit of Fauna. Saris Fauna from Hololive English. I was trying to remember her name. And then I also keep up a lot with clips, but clips are for more like nighttime, like when I'm trying to like watch videos until I fall asleep is when I'll normally watch like, the up to 2-minute clips from clip channels for specific streamers. So like I'll watch like a lot of Iron Mouse clips. A lot of Iron Mouse clips, Giri, Niji Sanji members I almost exclusively watch through clips just because of how like memeable they are. I like low-key want to get into Niji Sanji, but there's like a lot of stuff happening around that space that I'm kind of like not jiving with. But like I don't really have much more than like a vibe, right? Like I'm not necessarily like, I can't judge a company that I have like no idea what the fuck is happening in the background of, right? And the content creators are going strong with what they're working with, right? Like, I think Selene Tatsuki is honestly one of the most, like, involved VTubers in the scene, period. Like, she's not right? But in terms of Niji, she's probably super up there. She's hosted several events and has made sure to collaborate with people in and outside of Hololive quite frequently, and has participated in Apex Legends tournaments that are both international, still within the States. She's honestly probably one of the better Apex players that I keep track of, other than because of Selene, I ended up seeing like Xset members, right? Like Nocturnal. So yeah. Going back to my original topic, I predominantly watch Niji clips. Man, why did Mr. Rias have to graduate on my birthday? Now I'm gonna have like a dark memory tied to my birthday. And it sucks when a VTuber graduates, because even if they pop up in a different area, which you're not really supposed to like to publicly talk about, but even if they pop up in a different area, the interaction and like vibe is kind of different because I mean sometimes they're playing a different caricature. Sometimes it's just like they only had a specific vibe because of the setting and people that they were able to collaborate with. I won't go too into this topic because it's kind of taboo and it makes me uncomfortable to talk about for extended periods. But the reason why a graduation matters the most, even if you end up seeing that person again, is just because it won't be the same as when you first saw them, right? Which is like super duper the unfortunate truth. But I still think that people that are good content creators, whether they're part of a corporation or whether they're independent or whether they're part of like smaller indie groups for VTubers and then end up graduating, I think if you're just a good content creator, you're just a good content creator. I think that people that specialize in just chatting and storytelling, I have like a really high respect for those people because of the way that they can emphasize and dramatize their own life to an extent that isn't like unnecessary, right? But it adds suspense and pageantry to something that is variable in interesting, you know? Like, I wouldn't consider my life super interesting, but I'm a person that could pretty much talk for hours on like any one topic as long as you can give me like a little bit of fuel on it. So I would consider myself mildly good at just chatting, but I like follow people that are like, they could sit down and talk to you about like hunting and camping for like 8 hours just because of the stories, the different like methods and equipment that they use. They could have like minor conversations about preferred brands and stuff like that. They're just knowledgeable. Like, the thing is about just chatting is that they're literally just knowledgeable with good memory and they have a very creative mind. I have a really high respect for just chatting. One day I might get there. I have to work on it. I feel like Missouri was actually a really good, like, it was like a really good lesson in terms of that. Because I feel like going to Missouri, making sure to kind of keep, like, a journal of what I've been up to, and, like, make sure that I, like, go out and I do things, and I try to experiment, and I interact with people. Those are the things that create stories for someone like me. Missouri was a really good reminder, and, like, I don't know, practice for me. It was really good. I would definitely go again. But it kind of just makes me want to visit other states. Like, now I'm kind of interested in, like, I don't know, like, Tennessee. I mean, Moth was talking about Pennsylvania earlier, and it sounded really cool. I have a friend that's from Maine, and he's told me that it's a very gorgeous place. I'd want to travel to more of, like, the Midwest. You know, Ohio is, like, in a completely different location than where I thought it was. I thought Ohio on the map was Missouri. And then I don't know where I would have put Missouri. Like, it was probably much more east in the States than I thought it was. Like, I thought Ohio was actually, like, the very center of the United States. Like, you could have bullet pinned it and it would have probably been in, like, one of the corners of the state. But it's not. It's just straight up not. Yeah. That was funny for me to figure out. But I would like to go to, like, the Midwest. Go to, like, Idaho. Some other place. I kind of just want to do a bunch of nature stuff now. But it kind of makes sense because I've been playing video games all my life, right? So now I want to do the nature stuff. And, like, I'm loosely interested in sports, but I wouldn't be good at them, so I would just need, like, friends and family to essentially have, like, pickup games with. But I have, like, a really high interest in, like, nature stuff right now. Like, I want to go to, like, a bunch of different nature trails, or, like, go to northern states and do similar nature trails to what I've done before, but now there's, like, ice everywhere, right? are similar in nature, but now there's ice everywhere. It's interesting. Not ice, but snow. It's not like the fucking entire area is fucking like 40 Kelvin. We go Colorado. Wouldn't be a bad idea. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to visit like a bunch of different places. But in order to do so, I need money. I need to start my job hunt soon. God damn it. I'm a college graduate and I have to keep reminding myself that I, like, starting up YouTube isn't immediately monetizable. I need to start my own life up. T0 goes to Alaska? Fuck no, that's too far north. There's too little to do there. Well, there's probably plenty to do there, but I probably wouldn't want to stay there for much longer than a week. In fact, I'm not even excited about the idea of visiting it in general. Okay, I'd go to Alaska. Okay, I'll rephrase because I just thought of something. I would go to Alaska if it's also a part of a Canada tour. Like going to different cities in Canada and doing a bunch of different things. I think that would be fun. But we'd need passport for that, for legal reasons. But yeah. Unironically, Iceland. I mean, Iceland and Greenland. But mainly Iceland, because Iceland is the warmer one, the green land. Okay. That's like a fun fact about the world, right? That Iceland is like much more green and pasteurized and nice, while Greenland is really icy and like Arctic, almost. Or just like snowy. It's like, that's like one of my favorite fun facts about like Earth. Or at least it's up there. It's just like something that you figure out when you're like in elementary school or middle school or like, you know, whatever junior high that you might go to. That it's like Iceland and Greenland are like name-wise reversed. And it's strange. And it's kind of like how like it's like the opposite, right? So it's kind of like how Britain is called Great Britain. It's too easy. Yeah. I didn't really have a continuation for that. I do want to do a lot of exploring, and I feel like me going to Missouri definitely solidified that. My friends that I went to Missouri with are planning on going to Japan next year, but I don't know if I'd be able to join them on that. I'll probably be going down the line at one point. My time will come soon enough. Oh, in terms of my next stream, I have my driving stuff coming up soon. I've talked on this stream before. I don't quite have like my license and stuff all figured. I'm getting that sorted though. So, on the 9th, which is tomorrow, I will not be streaming. On the 11th, I will not be streaming. So, I'm probably not going to stream on the 10th either. So, you will see me again on probably Wednesday. I'm going to go for Wednesday just to start up my Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday schedule. So that will be, what was it? Wednesday, is that the 13th? Am I brain dead right now? Hello? Calendar? Yes, Wednesday the 13th. I'll be doing Wednesday the 13th. I will decide my game probably by the 11th or 12th, and I will make either a YouTube comment and or a tweet about it. But I'll decide what game I'm playing. The idea that I currently have in mind is that I kind of want to continue my Brutal Legend Let's Play that I was doing during the, like, birthday streams. So, I think I'll continue that. That'll be, like, my last-ditch effort, but I kind of also want to see if I could play something else. And then I'll like just chatting more during those time periods, but I was planning on today's stream to be like a bit shorter, and we're coming up on 2 hours, which is what I was thinking. Yeah, I'll finalize my game by Monday or Tuesday. So, and hopefully by then I'll have my driving license. Yay! Now I get to participate in the fun part of America, which is gas prices and the common need for economic fuck it. Gas prices. There. I'm over titling gas prices. But it's fine. Or at least just driving culture in general in the States, because we're such a fucking driving infrastructure-based goddamn country. God damn it. Oh, why can't we just have cool trains like Japan? And like several countries in Europe? Oh, I yearn for train society. But yeah. Yeah, last ditch effort. I think I'm gonna play Brutal Legend. Honestly, some other games that I was planning on like continuing from the DAC Day celebration. I was planning on continuing maybe Okami, but that's like a really long time investment because that game is like 40-50 hours long. I'd prefer, if I'm gonna play a game for like 50 hours, I'd prefer to start a new game instead of do a game that I've already played. Because we're way larger than those. I get that, but I want train culture, damn it. I could play Halo 4. That'd be kind of funny. But I don't know. I'll finalize it soon, and I'll let you guys know what I think. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a nice dinner or a nice lunch, depending on what time zone you're in and what you're up to. I hope to catch you guys on my next stream, and I hope that you guys just have a good day. See ya!